How do students develop mastery? A discussion on Chapter 4 of How Learning Works, 7 Research-Based Principles for Smart Teaching by Ambrose A.S. et al. First, let's define mastery. According to Ambrose et al. 2010, mastery refers to the attainment of a high degree of competence within a particular area. One of the popular models which explains the stages we go through to gain mastery of new skill is the conscious competence model. According to this model, there are 4 stages for learning and mastering a new skill. The first stage is unconscious incompetence. At this stage, we don't know how to do something, and we don't even recognize that we don't know about it. We don't know that we don't know. Let me use an example of a very old game called Shogun, which originated in Persia about 5th century before Christ and is still played professionally in 16 countries. We were in the stage of unconscious incompetence if we had no idea of Shogun or of its English name, polo. We advance to the stage of conscious incompetence when we become aware of a new skill, here polo, which is a team sport played on horseback, and players score by leading a small white wooden ball into the opposing team's goal using a long-handled mallet. We are now increasingly aware of what we don't know and of what we need to learn if we care and see value in it. The third stage is conscious competence. We will advance to this stage if we develop knowledge and skills required to play polo. Through learning and practice, we become aware or conscious of how to control the horse and mallet while maneuvering in the arena to score a goal. We know what we know, but we need to think about it and concentrate while we are performing the skill. The final stage is unconscious competence. At this stage, we are so good at playing polo that we don't even need to think about it. We are now reached at the highest level of mastering. We move into the polo arena so automatically that we are no longer consciously aware of what we know or do. When a skill becomes our second nature, and we can do it so easily and automatically, we can claim that we are unconsciously competent in that skill. According to Ambrose et al., to develop mastery, students must acquire component skills, practice integrating them, and know when to apply what they have learned. To illustrate this, let's have a look at our driving skills. When we just started to drive, we had to develop the component skills, starting from adjusting the mirror, applying the brakes, to accelerating smoothly, parallel parking, etc. Then we had to learn how to integrate all of these component skills, such as checking the mirror and moving into the other lane. Finally, we learned to apply those skills on icy road, for example. It goes without saying that there are many advantages for being an expert and gaining mastery in a skill or field. But when it comes to teaching, it has its own liability. This is known as expert blind spot. For example, instructors as experts in their fields and skills perform complex tasks instinctively. The level of automaticity often makes it difficult for them to see those tasks from the viewpoint of novice learners. As a result, it becomes difficult for instructors to break a skill down into its components. They often underestimate the time it will take for students to learn and perform these tasks, and overestimate the students' ability to do the tasks. Can instructors teach something that they are unconscious about its components? As instructors, we need to surpass the unconscious competence of expertise and regain our conscious competence. That's why attempts have been made to add 5th stage to the conscious competence model so as to describe the conscious competence of unconscious competence nature of expert instructors. That's why we as instructors who are susceptible to expert blind spot need to be aware of the three elements of mastery. The CIA, component skills, integration, application. There are several researches that support decomposing component tasks into their component skills enhance students' learning. With the emergence of digital technology, many programs have been designed to provide students with ample opportunities to learn and practice component skills. Research on computer-based tutoring programs indicate that since these programs are designed to detect the component skills that students lack and direct them to exercises that strengthen their abilities in those areas, it had profound effect on students' overall performance. Now that we know students perform better when they learn component skills, a dilemma arises. Should students practice component skills in isolation or in the context of the whole task? Although the research results are mixed, it seems generally true that whole task practice is preferable if the overall task is fairly simple or if components cannot be realistically extracted from the whole. However, if the task is highly complex and can be easily divided into component parts, students often learn more effectively if the components are practiced temporarily in isolation and then progressively combined. While integrating component skill is an essential part of teaching and learning, we should be aware of the cognitive load we create for novice learners while we integrate skills and tasks. When people's limit is exceeded, they are left with insufficient attention and other cognitive resources to complete the tasks effectively. Therefore, we need to help students manage the cognitive load. Research studies show the importance of reducing cognitive load. Clark, Iris, and Sweller, 2005, found that math students who knew little about the spreadsheets learned less and performed less well when they were taught new mathematical concepts in the context of a spreadsheet. Research has shown that extraneous or unrelated load should be removed or reduced, whereas the load that is germane to what students need to learn should be kept. A very relevant discussion for us in the field of education and digital technology is technology integration. Our understanding of how integration of skills can enhance or hinder learning will play an important role for how to approach the integration of technology into education. As we have seen, mastery not only requires component skills and the ability to integrate, but the ability to apply. Knowing when and where to apply what you have learned is an ultimate stage and crucial to education and is referred to as transfer of learning, which will be discussed separately. The discussion around mastery and whether a task should be broken into component skills or taught within context of meaningful environment can also be traced into theories of learning. Behaviorists place great interest in component skills and parts. From a behaviorist point of view, designers need to identify sub-skills students must master. Cognitivists, however, place greater interest in meaning, process, problem solving, and the belief that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. This can be shown through the model of skill acquisition known as ACT-R, in which skill learning is thought to progress from declarative phase to procedural phase. References.